Howdy, Chiefs Kingdom. It's Wednesday. It's 7 o'clock. That means it's time for CKL. Glad everybody could join us. If you haven't done it already, just real quick, just right down there at the bottom of the screen, just click that like, click that subscribe, tell your friends, take out a front page ad in your local newspaper telling people to watch the show. We
That'd help out a lot, actually.
Spread the word and get more people subbing. It just means better giveaways, more comments, more lively chat, funner show. Because come on, honestly, I mean, look at me and this guy here. So,
right.
It helps us just have more fun doing the show, and that's what it's all about. Because it's Chiefs Kingdom Live, so it's for Chiefs Kingdom. It's not Scott, Nick, and Bo live, which Nick's not going to be able to join us this week. He is still overseas for work, and the time change is pretty significant for where he's at right now. So, just Bo and me this week. Bo, how you doing, buddy?
Excellent, man. Excellent, man. Feel like I'm missing a limb without Nick here, but hey, we'll get through this show. But no, man, great week. Can't ask for more than every team in the AFC West losing except the Chiefs. So felt so great. Yeah. Victory Monday was capped off even more because I kind of stopped watching football after the Chiefs game. Wake up, get on my social media feed. First NFL video that pops up for me is Derek Carr crying at the podium, and Victory Monday couldn't have gotten any sweeter watching that video. But we'll talk more about that later, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, buddy. I'm doing real good. So, Chiefs coming off another win. We'll break that game down. We'll talk about the win over the Jacksonville Jaguars. Talk about this week's poll question, which was kind of a little tongue-in-cheek poke at the national pundits. We'll get into that, and then give a look ahead to a pretty significant game in Los Angeles against division rival Chargers, with the Chargers losing to the Niners. If the Chiefs can win this game, they could put some distance between themselves and secure the tiebreaker, the head-to-head tiebreaker with the Chargers. That's a pretty big game. So we'll get into that in more detail here coming up here at the end of the show. Let's just talk about this game against Jacksonville, man. It was one of those not really close but not super comfortable Chiefs wins.
Yeah.
The Chiefs had the lead the entire time. Kind of let Jacksonville hang around a little bit. Jacksonville, I don't think, after the Chiefs got up double digits, they didn't threaten. They never got within one possession. But there was a few defensive and special teams lapses that just kept that door open a little bit there. So just before we break down in specific, go through players and what happened in detail, what was your bird's eye view, just kind of like your overview of the game?
Yeah, man, you nailed it. It's kind of like sitting on a rock for the whole game, just completely uncomfortable, right? Just, what are we doing, guys? What are we doing? Just bad decision making on some people's parts. Honestly, it was we stayed ahead just because they missed a lot of field goals and the kicker was struggling, and they could have kept it a lot closer. But overall, I was thrilled with how a lot of our personnel played. I liked our coaching. Our coaching scheme overall was great. Our defense looks like they're more cohesive than we've seen them in years past earlier on in the season. So yeah, really thrilled about what I saw there. And like I said, with every team losing and every other team in the AFC West losing, great game, even better game.
Yeah, Derek Carr crying in his post-game interview. Yeah. Are you crying? There's no crying in football. The old Tom Hanks, League of Their Own. Great movie, by the way. Great baseball movie. One of the top 5 baseball movies of all time. But I digress a bit there. Let's just talk about what made it dicey and break this thing down a little bit more in depth. Right off the bat, and I wish I would have said it, because when the Jaguars were lining up, like the Chiefs, which Andy Reid, he didn't throw anybody specific under the bus, but when asked why they decided to take the first half kickoff instead of deferring. He said that that was a bad choice and a miscommunication. Whether that's a miscommunication between him and whoever was making the call, or a miscommunication between the person making the call and the ref, I don't know exactly what happened there, but that's out of character. And the way the Jaguars were lining up, I didn't say it, but I was sitting there thinking, I'm like, they're taking an awful long time to kick the ball off here. Like, are they going to try and onside it? I'm thinking this in my head, and I've got a few people, some family over watching the game, and they kicked the onside kick to start the game, and I was just like, God, why didn't I say something? Like, I totally could have called it. I predicted it in my head, but I can't claim credit because I didn't get it on the record with witnesses. But they get the opening kickoff, they recover the onside kick, and steal possession right out of the gate. And you're just thinking, here we go again, right? What's that old Grand Theft Auto meme? Oh, shit, here we go again. Right? It's going to be one of these games. Bo, were you caught off guard by that at all?
Well, I was busy kind of logging in, trying to get my streaming service to work. For some reason, I had to re-log in all my information. But I was getting it in and like getting down, setting my beer down and everything. And I'm looking up and it's like, all right, kickoff's just happening. And I see it happening. And it's just like, I'm like, yeah, like you said, just like, oh, God, here we go again. But then I immediately text you and Nick. I'm just like, that's going to be their only hope, man. Like I don't think they stand. That's what they're going to have to do to even come close. And it really didn't serve them well. But I mean, hey, they got it. That's hats off to their special teams unit. They caught us off guard. Caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting it.
It seemed like it kickstarted the defense a little bit, perhaps. Defense gets a stop. Now I will say that was the Jaguars helped them out a little bit with a dropped pass down about the 5-yard line that ended up in them punting the ball away. So they steal the possession at the beginning of the game with the recovered onside kick and get nothing out of it. Defense makes the stop, gets the ball back, and really up until about 40 seconds to go in the first half, the defense was lights out. They were getting pressure on Lawrence, Etienne, who had been running the ball really well and was one of my. I mean, I was trying to pick that dude up in fantasy leagues during drafts this year. I tried to finagle a trade early on before they dealt Robinson, because if you remember that guy, he was injured last year. His his rookie year. That dude in Clemson was the man. I mean, he was a damn good running back. He comes out, they were shutting him down. There was no running space for that guy. He was getting stuffed. They were forcing punts. Seemed like it ignited the defense a little bit there. Gave them some fire to come out unexpectedly to start the game and get a stop. Did you get that same sense? That kind of maybe lit a fire under their ass a bit?
Yeah, it reminded me of like the excuse me, the Monty Python. I challenge you to a duel, sir. Just a slap in the face with a metal glove, right?
Yeah.
I think that's Robin Hood, Prince in Tights. But yeah, just I think a slap in the face. They're like, okay, that's how we're gonna play, right? And then you just see the defense come out, man. Everybody on every level played so good. Our line played lights out. They were pressuring Lawrence left and right. Having Willie Gay back and Nick Bolton duo was phenomenal to watch. They played insanely well, in my opinion. And then McDuffie in the back. For all the height that he got, I mean, he's walking the walk, man. That kid looks really good. So I was stoked. Yeah. So to answer your question, yes, I saw the same thing.
Yeah. But then right at the end of the first half, the defense falls asleep. Chiefs score a touchdown.
Patrick Mahomes
throws a touchdown. Butker misses the extra kick. He's not 100%. He admitted to that. He said so much in the weekly interviews that they were doing and press conferences. He's not 100%. We talked about that last week's episode too a little bit. If he's not 100%, they need to get him to 100% before the playoffs come, because you can't be missing extra points and field goals, short chip shot field goals,
right,
in the playoffs. Right. So they need to get that right. But
yeah, it's like you said though, dude. I think he's just not 100% yet. Still fighting off whatever injury he was suffering through.
So the Chiefs get the lead 20-0, and you're thinking, all right. And then they give up the touchdown drive, and you're thinking Jacksonville's getting the second half kickoff. It's 20-7. if they come out and put together another scoring drive, you've just completely wiped out your 20-point lead. And now it's a one possession game. Now they've got momentum. Now they've got confidence again. And it's just one of these games where I think I tweeted out, this team seems like they're allergic to big leads. I don't know what it is. Some of that is the nature of the NFL. You don't see a lot of blowouts. So that is not unique to just the Chiefs. But man,
also at the end of the half there, we fumbled it and almost gave them another field goal.
Right. Yeah,
they missed a field goal. Almost gave up 10 points in under a minute.
Yeah, they squib kick it. Our guy Jody Fortson, who we all love on CKL, has the fumble. They're in field goal range. Their kicker missed 2 field goals. That, if you look at the final score of that game, 2 field goals make that a lot different contest coming down the wire.
Right.
But
sorry, chat. I'm way behind on this. Nick's normally our chat guy here who throws them up there. I'm totally spaced that out here.
No, you're fine. We're shorthanded. I just looked over and kind of saw it too. Looks like we got our man John C in there. We got Big Doug.
Yeah, it's an interesting comment right there. I noticed a changing of the guard this game. Didn't you kind of see that? Saw a lot of load for Pacheco and McKinnon. I think Clyde only got 4 snaps or something.
We'll get to Pacheco here when we start talking about maybe some individual performances. But it looks like we got our man John C's in the house, representing Chiefs Kingdom out in the Rocky Mountains. Good job there, John. Good to see you. Appreciate you joining in. We got man Shippy is back. Got Laney in here. I think this is the first time there was something onset. I know I've seen that a few times. Wasn't there a team that did that in the Super Bowl several years ago? Who was that?
McAfee. Well, not in the Super. Was it the Super Bowl? It was like the playoffs. That's what Pat McAfee got famous for, was kicking the onside.
Yeah, right. But to start the game, I want to say there was a Super Bowl. I'd have to go back and look that up now. So there's our man Shippy's back. Our defense is gelling. Yeah, we were just talking about that. They're looking good. They're looking good. And maybe that's being too critical of the defense because they played lights out the entire half. But you'd like to see them just finish that half out, right? And not give up a quick, short scoring drive going into half when you're not getting the opening possession to start the second half. So Brenda is in the house. What's up, Brenda?
Ooh, our Patrick Mahomes giveaway winner.
Yeah, our Patrick Mahomes giveaway winner. Speaking of giveaways, Travis Kelce got pretty close. And
I was counting the yards, texting you guys every yardage you got. Is that 71? Right. Is that 80?
If you didn't know by now, we're doing a Travis Kelce prize pack giveaway on his next 100-yard performance when he sets the record by a tight end. So if you haven't clicked subscribe, do that now. That's an eminently winnable contest, much more winnable than many of the local lotteries or scratchers or any other kind of contest that you're going to enter. Not like there's 50,000 subscribers to the channel that you got a 1 in 50,000 odds of winning. So
we got some Travis Kelce socks. These are game-changing or life-changing prizes here. It's coming wintertime, more life-changing than the Powerball.
Right. Brenda tweeted out a picture wearing her socks, her Patrick Mahomes socks. Appreciated seeing that. Glad you're enjoying the prize. Appreciate you watching. More viewers, more subs, maybe get some money rolling in on this thing just to help cover some costs and do some more prizes would be awesome. And that's how clicking like and subscribe does. So, but back to the game. Second half, they come out. Offense moved the ball. They scored some points. Jacksonville made it a little more interesting there with a late touchdown drive. But Chiefs convert a big play on the sideline to MVS, who he had a drop on a fairly critical pass earlier in the game, and I was like, there's MVS for you. And
I saw that exact eye roll you just did. I could see that in my head when he dropped it, right? And then I immediately thought of you when he caught that pass, though.
Right. But, hey, props to him. He made the bigger catch. So if you're going to make one of those two, he made the right one to make. You'd like to see him make both of them. But,
exactly.
Yeah, Chiefs, they hang on to win. Final score 27-17. I think you and I and Nick and I thought the Chiefs would score more points, and they probably should have because they had a red zone fumble. They had in the second half they had a drive that stalled on a penalty. I want to say that they were moving the ball pretty well on. They lost Juju on a play that we'll discuss here in a minute when we get to individual performances, and maybe we'll talk about some refs. But yeah, it was kind of one of those games where it was never really in doubt, but it wasn't. The Chiefs never built a big enough lead to where it was like a no doubter. You were on easy street for 60 minutes. So um, individual performers, Big Doug, I believe he had a comment a minute ago about Isaiah Pacheco. He was the RB1 in that game.
Crushed it.
And he fumbled it early, which you hate to see, but the Chiefs, being the way they are, and Andy Reid, they go right back to him on the next possession, give him the ball on the very next offensive play. He runs it for, I want to say, picked up 13 or 15 or 18 yards, something like that. Nice run. He averaged over 5 yards a carry, and that was with a few short carries at the end when Jacksonville knew they were going to be running, and the Chiefs, everybody in the stadium knew they were going to be running to try to chew time with a two-score lead there late in the fourth quarter. His average actually probably would have been a little bit better than that if he doesn't get those garbage time tack-on short runs, added into the equation there. So
yeah.
What did you see from Isaiah Pacheco, Bo? He got all the carries. I don't think Clyde, did he get one carry? I think maybe they targeted him once or twice.
I think they targeted him. No catches, no recorded yards or anything. I don't remember seeing him in the game, to tell you the truth.
It was a Pacheco show. What did you think?
Dude, we've been clamoring for it for 2 seasons now, right? Like, let's see what we can do if you just give the load to the other 2 RBs and see what they can produce. Right. And true to form, right? Like I feel like we're nailing this. We're what's the coaches from Indianapolis? Saturday. We're Saturdaying it, right? Like never been a part of this, like professionally in any form, and I feel like we're just nailing it.
Right.
But no, that's.
He looked good. He's got that angry, runs pissed, right?
Yeah. I saw some people out there saying that McKinnon actually was the RB1 for that game. Like they did share the load pretty evenly. Pacheco got the majority of it. To me, he looked stronger, but McKinnon came up with in clutch plays too.
Right. He does. He's their third down back. They trust him the most out of any of the guys in pass protection in the backfield there on obvious passing downs. So, but
I like that duo. I like it better than anything I've seen so far. You know what I mean? Something you can actually kind of lean on in a game.
Sure. Yeah, the running game was good. Like I said, Pacheco averaged over 5 yards a carry. He didn't get to the century mark because he didn't really, he didn't get 20 carries or 25 carries like some of these other workhorse backs get. And you're never really going to see that because they're a passing team. It's a pass-first offense. And with Patrick Mahomes, that makes sense. So, yeah, I was excited to see Pacheco get his chance. I was a little disappointed in the – you hate to see that right out the gate. Here's your shot, right? Like, you don't know how many opportunities you're going to get to unseat the incumbent. But he didn't look – there was no looking back from that point on. He had some nice runs, picked up some nice chunk plays, was dependable, and actually was able to chew some pretty good yardage there at the end to help kind of put the game on ice. Would love to see some more of that Pacheco-McKinnon 1-2 punch.
Right.
Coming down the stretch here.
Going back to that fumble real quick, most coaches will tell you, right, the best way to get over a fumble is to get the ball right back in your hands, right? And as frustrating as it sounds, like especially from a fan's perspective, like why would you give it back to him? But hey, it worked in this game.
There's 2 schools of thought, right? There's the strict disciplinarian Bill Belichick, Bill Parcells angle of you fumble, you sit, and we'll put somebody else in there. I don't know if one is better than the other. Those 2 coaches I just mentioned got a lot of wins and a lot of rings between the 2 of them. So, but that's not Andy Reid's style. And so, they went back right to him. Kind of reminded me a little bit going back a couple years ago, Kareem Hunt's first year with the Chiefs on that Sunday night, or I want to say maybe it was like the Thursday night opening week game against the Patriots. Kareem Hunt fumbled his first carry as a Chief. I want to say he had 1 fumble or maybe even 0 fumbles in his entire college and high school career. Fumbles his first carry as a Chief. then never fumbled again the rest of his career with the Chiefs. So I don't know enough about Pacheco. I didn't see him enough in college to know if he had a fumbling issue there. I would lean no because the Chiefs, especially Andy Reid, and this, they don't really bring in fumblers. They kind of steer away from guys like that. So, yeah. And then we all know what Kareem Hunt went on to be after a little bit rocky start, first play, fumble. They did the same thing in that game. Went right back to Kareem, gave him the ball. He ended up having like 180 yards, 2 touchdowns. Beat the Patriots on prime time when they were unveiling. That was the 28-3 Super Bowl win for the following season for that.
Yep.
So kind of ran
I like
on that.
Chippy's comment right here. Like a 7 in craps, right? You got it out of the way and then just went on a heater.
Yeah. Right. It's a good point, Chip. That's a good observation. I didn't think of it like that, but now that you say it like that, yes, just get this out of the way early. Can move on. Some other individual performers in the game were Travis Kelce.
Oh yeah, obviously, crushed it, right? You know, we were talking about it at the beginning of the season, right? We're like, obviously, he's going to be the go-to guy, and I remember like both of us, you and I specifically, like saying on a 3rd and 6, 3rd and 8 situation, who you going to this season? And it's still true to form. Like he's so reliable, so consistent, and we were texting. It's funny because like he had that one play of his bigger play of the game where it was 46 yards, right? It was like a 20-yard catch, 20-yard yak, and you text wide open. And it just baffles me that defenses let that guy get that wide open. And again, it's like we're just Saturday coaches over here. Like, how is it that obvious from the casual viewer that like you're just going to let your defense let Travis Kelce have 20 yards with nobody around him?
Oh, wait a minute. Travis Kelce's still on the Chiefs? Like, you know what I'm saying? How do you forget about that guy? Some of that is scheming, though, and some of that is play design by Andy, and he fools teams into getting him open.
100.
But he's also just he's the man. He gets himself open.
Dude, his football brain is unreal.
It is.
He knows the sport so well. He knows where to be, when to be there, and then let's face it, his chemistry with Mahomes is unmatched, man. Like he knows the scramble drill better than anybody on that team.
Right, and I've used this term over and over, but he's got that mind meld with Patrick Mahomes. Those two, like, they seem to be just thinking the same thing all the time. Somehow, some way. Just like those guys, they're, I don't know. It's pretty amazing to watch, though, in action. He had his typical 8 or 9 catches for close to 100 yards and a touchdown. Just a whole hum day.
You know, casual day at the office for the big Yeti.
Okay. So, yeah, Travis looked good.
I agree with Laney here. Kadarius Toney looked phenomenal.
Yeah, I was going to get to him next, so we'll go on to him.
Yeah, perfect little segue. Thank you, Laney. Living up to the hype, right? Like, man, he looked explosive, sure-handed. That catch. I mean, the talk of the internet is him readjusting his gloves before he made that spectacular sideline catch.
Just dude, that wasn't an easy catch either. It was like he was standing there waiting for the ball to come down. Had time to. I mean, he's running a route, turns, and like adjusting his glove. He jumped, I don't know, 4 or 5 feet in the air on the sideline, and if you watch him, like he like contorts his body back sideways so that he comes down in bounds. That was a sick play.
There's certain athletic jumps you see in sports, right, where they look like they float there, and that's what he was doing. He just looked like he said,
and I don't recall which Chiefs post-game show it was here I was listening to after the game, and it said it looked like he like came down faster than normal gravity, almost like when you play Tetris and you get your piece in the right spot and twist the right way and you hold down and it just like shoots down to the ground. I thought that was a great analogy. Hell of a play by him. He had a couple other really nice plays.
Yeah,
the touchdown wide open. I thought it was funny. Someone asked Patrick Mahomes about that, and Patrick was saying that, yeah, Tony's like my 5th read, but I heard someone yelling at me. And I look over, and he's like over there like, Patrick, I'm open, like backyard football. He's like, so I threw it to him, and then he's able to stay in bounds, hop on one foot. I thought after he continued the one-legged hop through the back of the end zone, I thought maybe he hurt himself there for a second. I kind of started sweating a little bit, but he was just having fun, showing off.
So He said that he didn't want to go out of bounds, right? And he wanted to make sure he stayed in bounds. I completely thought it was a subtle wink to the New York franchise. Like, look at this hamstring. Look at this hamstring. Could have had this on your team.
Right.
That's just
Yeah.
me, though, as a casual observer.
Yeah. John C's got a comment about Tony I like here. Yeah, the Giants are winning this year, and Saquon Barkley is healthy, and they have a new coaching staff there. But that's a dumpster fire organization for the last 5, 6, 7, 10 years.
Yeah, completely.
So thank you, New York Giants. We appreciate that. A third and a sixth round pick. That trade is looking to be fantastic.
Dude, we're winning on that trade 100%, right? Like, it's already paid for itself. I can't remember who we had in here predicting 300 yards and 3 touchdowns, but I easily am going to pick the over now with a little bit of hindsight on that.
Yeah, I think I picked the over on that. I think I saw his first 7 or 8 touches as a Chief. He's got over 100 yards and a touchdown. So just what Patrick Mahomes needed, another weapon.
Mm-hmm.
Other individual performers on the defensive side. Bo, I'm just going to let you talk about your guys on the defense, McDuffie and Bolton.
I mean, they kind of spoke for themselves this game, didn't they? They played their hearts out. They're showing you what you can do when they're firing on all cylinders. Came up big when we needed them. We kind of pointed out that that last minute of the second half was really suspect, but you're not going to stop every team every drive. And you just got to take the lion's share when you can, and they did. Man, yeah. I'd like to see him get a little bit more turnovers, though. I mean, I feel like we're a little turnover shy on that department. But everything else I'm liking. I'm liking all of our rookies that are stepping up, like even Chanel, Leo Chanel, Karlaftis, McDuffie. They're all stepping up, playing lights out, great football, being smart about it. I think Karlaftis has the most bats in the league now, batted down passes. So
yeah, he's been really. I would like to see some of these pressures and hurries turn into sacks, if I'm being completely honest. But he's a rookie and he's still learning. So he's making plays. He's disrupting plays. You see him. He's making his presence felt. A first-round edge rusher, you would like him to have more than a half a sack, or I think that's what he's stuck on right now. I think he picked up a half a sack maybe in week 2 or 3. Like to see some more sacks from him, but you see his number and you see him in the play. And I go back to the Tampa Bay game. He had made a nice play, chased down Leonard Fournette from behind to stop a run behind the line that put him in long down and distance to go, forced a punt eventually there. So
right.
Looks like he's coming along. McDuffie, he looked pretty good. Every time they threw it to the guy he was covering, his guy was covered. And you'd like to think with some experience maybe in the secondary. You were talking about turnovers. Would definitely like to see more turnovers from the defense. But you got young guys still learning on the job. So perhaps that comes with a little bit more experience and just a little bit more time and experience under their belt with the rookies.
More.
But hey, man, the dude came in and he covered his guy. And his guy was covered. He didn't give up any big plays. Talked about Nick Bolton. Chris Jones. I feel like Mike Parson is dominating the conversation, and maybe deservedly so, because that guy has been a beast this year. But Chris Jones, I want to say his pass rush win rate for defensive tackles, he's number 1 in the league right now, even ahead of Aaron Donald and some of these other premier like top. There's people saying that. There's some people that argue that Aaron Donald is the greatest football player ever when you consider like what he does, the position he plays. So Chris Jones, he's on an all-pro level. He was in the backfield. He was sucking up double teams so that guys like Saunders and Chanel can get in there. Leo Chanel, the guy you mentioned, he got his first NFL sack. Made some nice plays, especially there in the first half against the run. It was in the backfield. So shedding blocks. This team, they got a lot of young guys performing, and no one on this pen. I know you and Nick and I, we weren't calling for this, but there's kind of like a feel in the offseason that this was like a retooling year. I'm not gonna say a rebuilding year, but with some of the guys they let go on defense, they let Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger, go to New Orleans. They let Dirty Dan, a veteran presence in the secondary, go. They move on. They make the Tyreek Hill trade, and so you're thinking, okay, well, maybe they take a small step back or stay idle here with a lot of young players. They're number one in the AFC again, and I mean, you just to be able to do that with all the young talent and the turnover that they had from last year into this year, it is remarkable. A big part of that, though, if we're going to talk about individual performers, we got to talk about number 15.
Of course.
Another exemplary performance by that dude. 350, 4 touchdowns. Kind of a silly interception at the end. Kind of forced a pass in there he didn't need to force. But the dude, I saw somewhere he has like 3 touchdown passes and almost 50% of his starts, which is just a mind-blowing number to think about. He's averaging 300 yards passing per game for his career. That's not this season. That's not against division foes or AFC opponents. That's career. 300 yards per game. He passed Dan Marino for the most touchdown passes in his first 75 games. Oh, by the way, that was his 72nd game. There was another stat going around someone put out there this week on Twitter that he's played in 2 more games, two more starts than Josh Allen. And he has like 50 more touchdowns, and I can't remember how many, because people are joking, Josh Allen only needs 225 TD passing games to catch up to Patrick, because Josh Allen didn't sit his first year, and Mahomes did. So even though Mahomes has been in the league a year longer than Josh Allen, they started the same time, and with some missed games for the two, they're basically neck and neck for games played as starts. Bo, Patrick Mahomes, I don't know what. It gets hard to talk about this dude every week and how good he is.
Right, without like praising him too much, without getting down and too much. Dude, I mean, what else can you say? He's the scramble master. Like he evades, he eludes, he throws defenses off. They don't know how to protect him. Like it's a different game when he's playing, right? Like it's fascinating. I was thinking about this, how Peyton Manning used to change the game by running a hurry up offense, right? And it really was reshaping the way defenses played. And this is just something completely different that is also like the defenses still don't know how to adjust to this. It's so backyard. You can't really coach what he does and his execution is flawless, which is even better. I put in here he threw to 10 different receivers, and that's nothing new this season. If you've been paying attention to our show, we kind of pointed out. But I went back and looked at all the games. He's thrown to over 8 receivers or 8 different guys every game. And the 2 games that we lost, he threw to 8 guys in those games. Every other game, it was 9 or more. Just spreading it around. Phenomenal. Just phenomenal quarterback. We're witnessing greatness. This is like a Tiger Woods moment, a Michael Jordan moment. It's so obvious. That's I think why we have so much frustration with the media, just like not giving him as much credit as he probably should deserve. And maybe it's because he just didn't win the last 2 Super Bowls. I have no idea, but it's easy to recognize talent, and that kid's phenomenal.
He is. It's just I don't run out of words in the dictionary.
Right.
To describe just how good he's been. There you go. They've been playing football in the National Football League for a long time, and no one else has done what he's done. You just every week on the broadcast, there's a new little graphic at the bottom of the screen with a record that he's set. It's surreal to be a Chiefs fan right now.
And as we point out, it's getting to the point where there's no caveats. They're just the caveat or the qualifier is he's only done this in 72 games versus minimum 50 starts in AFC and cold weather game. Like none of that. This is a different level.
Not a lot of qualifiers for those statistics for Patrick Mahomes. Dude's just he's just playing a different game than everybody else. That's what it looks like.
Yeah, he's toying with defenses. It's fun to watch. Completely fun to watch.
And I can't say this enough. Just enjoy it, Chiefs Kingdom. Enjoy what you are watching.
I was telling this to my nephew the other day, right? Because he's a Chiefs fan. He's pretty young. I kind of manipulated him when he was super young to start chanting Chiefs, and he kind of just fell through. But hey, I got a picture of him on Super Bowl Sunday, the LIV with him in his Chiefs gear, so he'll have that forever. But I was telling him, like, hey man, this isn't going to be forever, so you just gotta love it right now.
Right. I feel I've got a couple of younger nieces, and they're in that 3, 4, 5, 6-year-old range, and they don't really, they don't know football. Obviously, they're not quite to the age where they can understand what's going on. And I like to think it's something. Maybe they won't be sports fans, but I just feel like, man, I wish they were a little bit older right now, so that if they are Chiefs fans, they're not going to miss this, because these are the good old days, man. We're living them right now. So enjoy it. Don't take it for granted. And I probably don't need to tell that to most of the people watching this show right now, because if you've been a Chiefs fan for much longer than the last 5 seasons, you know how different this is and just how badass it is to have Patrick Mahomes. But I think that kind of leads us into, you want to do the poll?
Yeah, sure.
Somehow, some way, the guy that has the most wins and the most passing yards and the most passing touchdowns for a guy in his first 75 starts, he's not even the best quarterback in the league right now. It seems like every other week it's somebody new. So that was kind of the poll I put out here, where you can see it first it was Lamar, then it was Herbert, then it was Allen, then it was Burrow. You could also argue that then it went back to Allen for a little while. Now it's Tua's. Tua's right up there. He's in the discussion, and he could be leading the MVP race. So who's going to be the next media darling that's better than Patrick Mahomes? Got your choices there. Looks like Jalen Hurts picked up just a little over half of the vote total there.
Hype train.
I had a tweet below that says, just remember, all it takes is 2 or 3 good games to be better than Patrick Mahomes now. So, look, man, like, there's other good quarterbacks in the league, and I feel like we're getting into that Patriot, Tom Brady era that was existing for a while, where everybody's just so sick and tired of the guy winning all the time and dominating. They're just looking for anybody else. He was cool, and he was kind of like a cute thing with the Patriots, and first year, 2 years of starter, he wins the Super Bowls. Oh, Tom Brady, look at these numbers, and he's no one's ever. And then there was a stretch for about 7, 8 years there in the middle of Brady's career where everybody hated him, and everybody just could not. I remember the Monday night game against the Chiefs.
I was one of those people
where he got benched, and everybody was like, "Oh, he's finished, he's done," and this guy's better, and this guy is better, and this quarterback is better. And Peyton Manning is, I do think Peyton Manning's a better quarterback as far as playing the position than Tom Brady. Definitely didn't have the defenses, the coaching, the Super Bowl wins, but just playing the quarterback position, I think Peyton Manning was better than Tom Brady. But that's not a discussion for this show, obviously. I know Lainey R doesn't want to hear that either. She's probably throwing her phone or her computer up against the wall right now. But then towards the end, once the greatness had lasted for so long, it was just undeniable. You couldn't ignore it anymore. It went back to he's the GOAT, he's the best, and he's the guy everybody compares to. Maybe we'll see that with Patrick here if he continues to play as well as he does, and if he can add a few more rings to the jewelry case. But yeah, I don't look. Justin Fields has had a few nice. Tua's had a few nice games. Justin Fields has had a few nice games. But those guys, I mean, Tua, he underthrows. I saw someone, I want to say it was Dan Orlovsky or one of these guys, was talking about how it's just Waddle and Hill are just such the perfect fit and system for Tua. No, they're not. He underthrows them all the time. He doesn't have a strong enough arm to throw the deep ball to them when they're open 60 yards downfield and they beat their guy. So he's the best, and it's going to take him falling off a cliff for anybody to catch him. No one's going to up their game to the point to where they catch Patrick Mahomes.
You think MVP goes to a quarterback this year? I mean, it typically does, but I mean, there's some receivers right now making some arguments. I don't know if you saw, I mean, that Vikings-Bills game. Justin Jefferson making those catch. Stephon Diggs in that same game had a all not as I don't know. It's hard to judge. They're all spectacular, but the one arm stretched out, body's going one way, your arm's going the other, and they come down with it.
Tyreek Hill over 1,000 yards already receiving. He's on pace to shatter the record for receiving yards in a season. You could even make an argument for there's people talking about Derrick Henry. I think it's hard for a running back to be the most valuable player because running back position so easily replaced, and just the nature of the game and how pass heavy it's become and offense oriented score fests. I think it's hard to say that a running back is the most valuable player, but there's some people that can make that argument, and I would listen to it. There's some people, the Titans are nothing without Derrick Henry, but MVP is Patrick Mahomes. There's no one more valuable. He's the best player at the most important position in the game. It feels like they need to come up with like a non-QB MVP award of some sort. Maybe that's Offensive Player of the Year. It just doesn't have the ring or doesn't have the name value of the term MVP. But
wait, you hit it. You stressed the word valuable, right? Like you take him off the Chiefs aren't the Chiefs. You take any of those other players off that team, they're pretty much the same team minus a really good player.
All right, got our man Brian, one man show in here. Yeah, that's exactly right, Brian. He's having a good year, but he's nowhere near as good as Patrick Mahomes. So
for everyone listening, talking about Jalen Hurts right now.
Right. You almost feel bad for some of these really good quarterbacks because you just got no chance of winning it. But
that's right, Shippy.
Looks like my man Shippy here. He agrees with me about Manning being better than Brady.
I agree with that positionally, man. Like I was alluding to earlier, he was changing the way football was played. Just running a 2-minute offense at the start of a game, confusing defenses, making them so tired they couldn't even keep up in the fourth quarter, and then running house on them.
I don't want to turn this into Peyton Manning love fest because he went to the Broncos and kicked our ass for a number of years, and I can't stand the guy.
Right.
But you go to YouTube when this show's over. Just Google Peyton Manning highlights. And I want to say there's like a 13 or 14-minute highlight video of him. Dude threads the needle in like triple coverage on the sideline. The dude, he was a phenomenal player.
After having his neck like refused back together too.
Dude. Right. And even some of his younger highlights when he was with the Colts in his prime. Whew, man. Some of the throws that dude made. But Patrick Mahomes, you could argue, he makes the throws that Manning can make. He can squeeze that ball, fit it in there. He's got the strong arm.
Mm-hmm.
Peyton Manning could never run around and add that mobility, making plays outside the pocket that Patrick Mahomes does. So good to see Dylan back in here with us. What's up, Dylan? Yeah, it does feel good. You're right, Dylan. We were just talking about that, obviously. Just enjoy it. It's not going to last forever. So enjoy it while you can. The only bad thing about the game to me, and we'll just talk about this real quick, was the hit on Juju Smith-Schuster, bro. The gall that it takes to throw that penalty flag and then pick it up while the dude is laying unconscious on the field. What is that rule for? If it's not for
that exact situation, right?
Dude, that should be like a teaching video. Right, when the league goes around and sends this stuff out to what a penalty is and what describe like.
Or when people are like, "Why are you guys calling these penalties so much?" Right? You show them that play and how hurt that guy got. Like, what are we doing? Player safety,
man. Yeah, let's hope Juju's okay. First of all, the dude, I want to say he had a bad concussion when he was with Pittsburgh a couple of years back. Patrick said after the game he looked normal and looked good in the locker room, so he's in the protocol. I think it's going to be tough for him to suit up this week coming up, which would be key to get maybe Hardman back and maybe the emergence of Tony. Maybe he can fill that void if Juju misses some games here. But I just don't – it's one thing if you're not in position to make the call even. They threw the fucking flag and then picked it up while the dude's laying knocked out, arms frozen in the air, bro. how
Tell
is
me
that
how
level
he
of
didn't hit his
incompetence
head, right?
even allowed?
Yeah. That and then how many times have we said it and how many times have we seen it in other games where the booth buzzes down and they're saying, hey, this player actually had this misconduct, needs to be ejected from the game. Like that's happened so many times. And then the fact that it happened to MVS not like 4 or 5 plays later, same guys, almost same results, dude. Like
Yeah.
you got to be kidding me. The
Right.
inconsistency of that, of just officiating is ridiculous. And I don't want to like blame a game or anything on the refs or like try to like have that position by any means. But like just even watching other NFL games this weekend, the officiating is just so inconsistent across the board. Like there needs to be
The Bills
like
game.
continuing education hours for refs. Like they don't seem to be having it, and it just it's so hit or miss what crew you're going to get and what calls are going to call for that game. My neighbor is so funny because I saw him this morning. He's just like, so they were holding, huh? Because every play, I'm sitting there going, that's holding. That's fucking
Right.
holding.
Right. I don't know what they. And then the referees coming after the game and they're like, yeah, no, like we didn't think it was. He led with his shoulder, and so he didn't leave with his head to initiate the head-to-head. It don't matter. It was a helmet-to-helmet hit. Like
right.
They don't even admit when they're wrong. And then they went there and talk about player safety, and that's why we have all these rules, and that's why we have this and that, and it's just a bunch of hogwash in the end, really. Refs need to be held accountable. They need to be suspended. They need to miss games. They need to take a hit in the pocketbook. Bro,
Fines, dude.
You can't have a guy get hit in the head, a defenseless receiver hit helmet to helmet, knocked unconscious on the field, and nothing happened. That just cannot happen.
And pick up the flag that was
worse.
calling that penalty, right? Like
Even worse.
I remember our text was just like, they picked up that flag. Are you kidding me right now? Like I was watching the Pat McAfee show kind of talk about this because I mean, obviously the whole NFL is talking about it. But he was saying like nobody wants to be an NFL ref. Like that job sucks. One team's gonna always hate you, even if you make the right calls, yada yada yada. I'm like, no, man, that's a cush job. Like you work once a week and you get paid really well to work once a week for a couple hours. Like, come on now. A lot of people want that job.
Right. There are. So I don't know. Maybe I need a career change. Maybe I should go train to be an NFL referee. But the accountability thing of it. There needs to be they need to. You can't even quite. Players and coaches get fined if they criticize them for making a bad call that they won't even admit was bad. So yeah. I don't want to get on a even more long-winded rant than I just did. But bro, when you see a guy knocked out on the field, like.
But to your point, it's like, why do we even have that rule? It's for that exact situation, and you're not calling it or like amending it after the fact is just it's mind-boggling to me. It's pretty unprofessional.
It is. It's ridiculous. But all that happened was, with all that said, Chiefs picked up a nice win, reclaimed first place in the division, or I'm sorry, in the AFC. Right now, looks like you got our man Lego's back in here. Good to see you, man.
My ego.
Yeah, I don't know what Kando happened with him. I didn't see that this week. So I know they had a couple guys. Lamans too, I want to say, had a fairly serious injury. But Chiefs play Los Angeles Chargers this Sunday night. Flex to Sunday night again. I like the prime time because it seems it makes Mahomes play even better somehow than he normally does. But these late night games are brutal. The noon game was kind of nice after this big long stretch of prime time and late afternoon feature games. Chiefs go to LA. 3.5 point favorite. The Chargers kind of reeling here. They've taken a hit with injuries. They're coming off a loss to the Niners. They're 2 games behind the Chiefs right now. With how bad the Las Vegas Raiders and the Denver Broncos have done, they're so far in the rearview mirror, I don't think there's any way they can catch up. If the Chiefs get this win Sunday and go up 3 games on the Chargers with the head-to-head tiebreaker, I mean, the nail isn't in the coffin for the division yet, but, I mean, it's right there and the hammer's above it, and you just got to hammer it down. Bo, how how you think this game's gonna go? What are you thinking?
You know, like you said, they're hammered with injuries, but I did read today that Keenan Allen and both Mike Williams were out there practicing, doing drills. Whether or not they're actually going to play in the game is to be determined still. They're still questionable, but they're out practicing, so that's a little iffy. If they're out there, it's going to be a game, right? The Chargers always play us really well.
They do.
They're a really good team, and then Eckler's been crushing it for them as well. So I mean, they got a really complete offense if they have everybody there. If they don't, they're kind of a one man show. They're just Eckler and Herbert, right? And when it's limited,
they're beat up on the defense and beat up on the line, though the offensive and defensive line. So,
right.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying. Like they'd be pretty one dimensional if all their players are out. So
yeah,
we just got to wait and see who's going to be playing. Really,
I mean, it's a big game. As I just mentioned a few moments ago, if they can go up 3 games in the loss column on the Chargers with the head-to-head tiebreaker, bro, it's not over, but it's as close to over as you can get without being over.
In the hardest division in the AFC. Remember that? This is going to be the best division in the AFC. And I don't think the Chiefs are going to be the best in their own division anymore.
You didn't hear that from me on this show. I can promise you that.
No. I'm literally quoting Rich Eisen right there.
Right. I never believed in the Raiders, and I never believed in Russell Wilson. I never thought that was going to be this franchise turning point for the Broncos. And the Chargers, they're kind of same old Chargers. They lose games they shouldn't lose, and every year they're the off-season champions. I put out, Chiefs when they took first place, and the Chargers with the Chargers lost, they're actually not even in the playoff picture now. They're out. If the playoffs started today, they wouldn't even be a playoff team. Excuse me, voice cracking up over here. They wouldn't even be a playoff team. And I think I said something like, "Toto, we're not in August anymore." Like when everybody was picking, this is the downfall of the Chiefs, and this is the year everybody's caught up to them, and they haven't done enough to stay ahead of the pack. And Russell Wilson, the Broncos, and the Raiders now with Derek Carr and Devontae Adams teaming back up, and the Chargers. This is the year. This is the year. That's like a broken record with that take at this point.
Exactly.
They're in first place in the division, only division team that would be in the playoffs at this point, with a chance to go on the road and all but button this thing up. What do you think is going to be the key for the Chiefs? We don't have Nick here this week to do our keys of the kingdom, so let's just kind of look into the crystal ball, if you will, Bo.
Sure.
What do you think? What do you think Chiefs need to do to get this win?
I'm picturing Nick's little table in my head here. Okay, so the Chiefs passer rating per game. No, no, I was kind of pointing it out earlier. When Patrick Mahomes really spreads it around, we have success, man. When teams are able to limit where he can throw the ball, that's when we haven't had any success. So that's one of our keys, man. Make sure guys get open, making sure that Patrick has enough time to not only identify his first and second option, but also his third and fourth. Yeah. And as good as he is at scrambling, I'd like to see him have a little bit more protection and not need to scramble. I like the plays where it's designed, and those are a little bit more obvious than the ones where he's running for his life, like we saw him throwing that interception this last game. But then again, the defense, if they just keep playing like they're playing, I mean, we're going to be tough to beat. If we can, like I said, stop Eckler, I think that's the biggest threat that they have. So I'm really looking for our line to be really there. Somebody mentioned there Saunders is going to have a great game. I hope so. He's a little suspect on the run game, but hell of a pass rusher. It'll be interesting to see how many snaps he gets. But yeah, I think stopping Eckler and letting Mahomes do his thing is going to be the keys. Pretty obvious take, I know. But yeah, miss Nick here.
Yeah, I see our guy John V's joined the chat. Good to see you, John. Appreciate you tuning in, buddy.
Hey, John V.
His Niners got a win, helped us out. Appreciate that. Appreciate the help there, John. His Niners are creeping back up. I think they're one game or maybe a half a game behind the Seahawks right now in their division. So they're coming to life a little bit, maybe getting healthy at the right time. So looks like we got some folks here in the comments making their predictions or what they think keys to the game are. Someone said the defense. Yeah, I can see that, but I could also see this being a shootout game where they get Mike Williams and Keenan Allen healthy and Justin Herbert. They're kind of like a wounded animal, maybe like cornered, and they're going to come out and they're going to give the Chiefs everything they got, because this is almost like it's not a must win for the Chiefs, but it's a can't lose for the Chargers, if that makes sense.
Right.
I could see that cornered, wounded animal effort and desperation for the Chargers in
You
this
think
game.
they go for it on 4th down every time? They kind of steered away from it last game.
You just never know, bro, with that coach, what that guy is doing. He's a clown. Okay, I'll just say it. He holds that team back. Yeah, Ship, you're right. Penalties are going to be huge in that game. That's going to be key. Unfortunately for me, man, like I think penalties, like when you watch football games, it seems like you see all the teams holding and false starting and jumping off sides and maybe passing it. It just seems like it just depends on like who the refs are going to call it on each week. Who are they going to pick on? Who are they going to get in there? So, looks like we got our guy Tom in here. What's up, Tom? Good to see you, buddy. He's just jumping right into his prediction, 30-27. Yeah, that'd be a close game. Yeah, that's kind of goes to what I was just talking about there, the desperation element for Los Angeles in this game. They really can't afford to lose this game. They will be in a very tough spot. Not just kissing the division goodbye, playoffs with the Patriots now got a winning record. They've won a few games. The Jets, they're looking maybe like that's no fluke. They're right up in there in the thick of the playoff race in the AFC in the division with a win over the Bills. So I saw the Bills slip to the 6th seed right now, which is fucking hilarious. But
yeah, it's their division, man.
I think the key to the game for me, for the Chiefs, is I think they're just going to need to score points. I don't think we can see this.
The old John Madden.
Saw against the Jaguars where they fumble a kickoff and they miss an extra point and they have a red zone turnover. They can't do that. The offense or come out and I hate to say like they did in the Titans game, because although they had 7 straight possessions where they didn't score, they had 2 or 3 or 4 of those possessions where they were just moving the ball at will and got basically stymied by penalties that killed drives and Bud for missing field goals. So I just think the offense needs to come out strong, needs to come out early, needs to put points on the scoreboard for this game. I just don't think you can put your defense in a position against a team that as season is on the line and expect them to just come out and win you the game. They could. I'm not saying they couldn't do it, but I mean, I'd like the Chiefs to put up 35 or 38 points on a wounded Chargers defense and make Justin Herbert and company outgun you, which they've never really been able to show outside of maybe the side of one game here the last couple of years. Be able to do.
I think Tom's good or right too. I hope the Chiefs clean up the special team mess. I think they have. We're not seeing Ty Moore back there muffing punt returns or anything. I think they got the right personnel in there now.
Yeah, I think Tony fielded a punt at the 2-yard line, which is not advisable, but the guy's trying to make a play, I guess. I get it. I think the Jody Fortson turnover on that one kickoff there at the end of the first half, that was on a squib thing, and he's just probably should just fall on the ball or let that thing squib down to somebody behind him that's used to returning or fielding kicks. John's wanting to know if his score prediction was close. 27, yeah, it was. Chiefs had a turnover.
27-24 though. I mean, come on, you had it super close.
Yeah, well, we're gonna give John a solid B+ for that prediction.
A for effort.
The Chiefs could have had 35 points in that game though. They don't miss the extra point. They don't have that drive where they fumble it inside the red zone when they were moving the ball at will. We're looking to score there. And they kind of took their foot off the pedal there at the end of the game with a 2-score lead late in the 4th quarter. The clock was really more their concern than the scoreboard at that point in the game. But we'll give props to John. He nailed the 27. I want to say our guy Brian also had a pretty close prediction. I want to say he said he had like 28-13 or somewhere in there.
Yeah,
so
somebody had it, I think.
Did someone nail it?
Nobody in the. I think last week somebody got really close.
Yeah.
Not the exact score, but really close.
Yeah.
I was gonna say nobody in the chat mentioned, or neither of us mentioned the running game, right? Like we had a semblance of a little slimmer of a running game this past game, right? And if we can carry that through to this week, man, that really helps take, like what you were alluding to. You can't have your defense out there the whole time and put the pressure on them. That really takes a lot of the pressure off their back. If you can run the game, take a lot of time off the clock, keep your defense rested. You know what I mean? I would like to see our running game just at least be a little consistent, man. Like they're up, down, up, down, up, down. They had an up game. I hate to see another down game.
Yeah. John's calling me out saying every time I pick them to score 30, they score under. And that's not true, John, because I pick them to score 30 almost every game, and they're averaging over 30 points a game, John. So, no, they don't every time I pick them over 30. They're leading the league. They're the only team that's averaging over 30 points a game on offense this season. So, we got our man Lego in here. Yep, Vikings did us a solid.
They always do.
Josh Allen did us a solid by fumbling the ball at the goal line, his own goal line, and then throwing an overtime interception, which to me, I found was so just, I'm struggling to think of the right word for it, but for them, all the whining and crying and pissing and bitching and moaning they did about not getting the ball in overtime against the Chiefs, and then they go down and throw an interception in overtime. I realize it's not a playoff game, but to me, that's what you're crying about? That's why you lost, because of the coin flip? I think it was Nick Wright said, can't blame this one on the coin flip. Yeah, I mean, they just whine so much they changed the rule, and then they get the ball in overtime and turn it over and still lose. So
I got to shout out Race Car real quick, because we were simulcasting that game, and she had all but admitted defeat. You know, she was sitting there actually committing her players, like, they played well. I'm just really proud of them. They're going to get this yard, game over. And then that fumble happened. It's so funny. And they got it. And my neighbors heard her for once and not me. So,
yeah. Congratulations, Race Car, our gal there. Her Vikings are looking good. They're right up there at the top of the NFC. So that'd be sweet. Maybe a Chiefs-Vikings Super Bowl IV rematch. That'd be dope. I'd like to see that. That could make for a fun Super Bowl. Yeah, John, they did us a favor. There's still a long ways to go. There's still a lot of football to be played, but Chiefs are right back in the driver's seat. And you got to feel like as long as they don't lose more than one more game down the stretch here, that they're going to wrap up that 1 seed. If Patrick Mahomes, I'm going to tell you right now, if Patrick Mahomes plays in a 5th straight AFC Championship game at home, just put the discussion to bed of anybody being better than him. Because you just can't. That's unbelievable. 5 years as a starter, and every year you play in the championship game at home. Unreal. It's right up there with the 300 yards per game and the most passing yards through 75 games and 71 games and the other ridiculous records that the guy is getting put into the record books. So, John, you're right. Oh, we got Ego in here.
What's your thoughts on Lucas Niang? Think he'll play, or if he doesn't,
I don't know, man. Papers? I don't know what to think about that guy. I really don't. At this point, I think if you're expecting him to just step in and be a good offensive lineman, you're probably being a little optimistic. But they've got some injuries, and the line's kind of been an issue there. So, John, the Bills did fall to 3rd in their division and would be the 6th seed. They'd be the second wild card in the AFC if the season ended today and the playoffs started this weekend. So, but this happened to them last year. I'm not going to throw dirt on them and say that they're dead, because they had a stretch mid to late in maybe the 3rd quarter of the season last year where they lost some games, fell down into that 5-6 line, then came back, won the division, and were 13 seconds away from beating the Chiefs in Arrowhead to go to the AFC Championship game. I'm not going to. They haven't taken a 10 count yet, as far as I'm concerned. But you'd rather be up a game than chasing a game behind them, especially since they have the head-to-head win over us.
And I don't think you could ever count that team out, no matter what seed they're going into the playoffs in, right? Like, they're dangerous.
They are. They got playmakers, and their defense is good. So, thoughts on
on Rojo?
Rojo?
Oof.
I've never
Get him
been
out of
a
there.
big Rojo fan. I think he had his chance in Tampa Bay to be the starter, and he kind of blew it. And so they brought in Fournette, and he's like an also ran guy to me at this point. He's practice squad depth. The Chiefs got him under. I don't think he's on the practice squad. I think they've got him under contract, but they're sitting him. I
He
think with
wants
the
to
way things
release.
are going right now, I don't rock that boat of the Pacheco McKinnon 1-2 tandem.
I
I
think they're
really
just
like
holding on
that.
to him for more like administrative purposes, right? Like
Could
obviously
be.
we're not seeing him even suit up.
Right. Or if somebody
Um,
gets hurt, right?
you're
He could be
right.
a guy. If Pacheco or McKinnon were to miss some time with injury, you could suit him up and put him in there at running back. But he's always been a little questionable. He's kind of had some turnover, some fumble issues, and he's also what really got him in the doghouse with Tom Brady when he was in Tampa Bay was his pass protection. And
Yeah.
we don't need him missing an assignment and getting Patrick blown up. So I'm not as big on Rojo as a lot of Chiefs Kingdom was, but he's
That's why
still
I'm big
around.
on McKinnon. Did you see some of his pass blocks that he had?
Oh
Even
no, a couple weeks ago in that Niners game against Bosa was locking him down, blowing him up, and blocking him 1-on-1, which is tough to do. So I like McKinnon.
he was going up, making a block on a lineman,
Yeah,
getting off that block and coming up and picking up the blitz, dude. Like very rarely do you see that out of a running back. So
yeah, yeah. We'll got a few more questions here, and then we'll jump out. We'll do our score prediction here in a minute before we get out of here. But
oh, sorry, man, I didn't even realize the time. I know you got to get out of here.
oh no, you're fine. It's not like a hard time we need to be done or anything. But yeah, Tom's got a comment in there if you want to bring that up about the Dolphins. Yeah, Tyreek Hill and Wall, man, they kind of scare me a little bit with all the youth and the rookies in our secondary trying to cover those guys, man.
Right.
That could be a bad matchup. Like they always say, styles make fights, right? Like you have a boxer who's undefeated or maybe got one loss, but he fights a guy who maybe isn't as accomplished or maybe a little like not quite as heralded as the other guy, but the way he fights and his style is a bad matchup. So I think that could be the case with the Dolphins, definitely. I wouldn't go into that game scared. I mean, I wouldn't be worried. I would pick the Chiefs to win. I think they'd be the favorites. But
Yeah, there's
yeah,
a lot of football to be played between now and then too to get
they're
the youth experience in our secondary as well.
yeah.
But then they're really good though. Those receivers are really good.
Yeah, the playoff picture is taking shape. A lot can change. So yeah, Tony can pass block too.
Tony
Yeah,
can do it all, man.
yeah,
That guy is good. I'm sold.
right. Yeah, there might be a Tony jersey in my future. We'll see. But Bo, you want to John go back and watch the highlights, man? I'm just telling you, he didn't win every one of them, but he won. He held his fair share.
He didn't though. He didn't.
Bosa got 1 sack in that game, and that was on a play where Mahomes stood in the pocket and held the ball too long. Really,
John,
John's
this
just
is
bitter
just
because
jealousy
right,
reeking out right now. Sorry he
yeah,
didn't do this for you guys, but he's
right,
performing for us.
right,
Sorry, man.
yeah.
But you're not wrong on this comment.
They gave up on him a little bit. Yeah, I agree, and he took over the workload. It'll be interesting to see if he continues that RB1 status, getting all the carries. But I agree with Pacheco there. So, Bo, let's do some score predictions before we come out, man. Well, what are you thinking?
Yeah, man. As we were alluding to earlier, we always play the Chargers tough. Always playing pretty close. Only a 3.5 spread. Once news kind of came out that Allen and Williams were practicing today. If they do play, I see it being a really close game like that. In the 30s, definitely a high scoring game. They got a great offense. We got a great offense. I'm liking our defense way better than their defense. So for that reason alone, I give us the edge. I got this game 34-28.
34.
How about you?
Yeah, that's a pretty good prediction. Everybody watching in the chat here, if you want to shoot your score predictions real quick before we jump out. John's got me questioning my 30 points or more pick here. I don't know why, because like I said, the Chiefs are averaging 30 points a game. But yeah, I could see Chiefs going in there and winning this game. I can see the Chargers putting up a fight, but I just think where these teams are at right now, and with the health factor. I mean, even if Keenan Allen comes back, how many games has he been out? Right. So
since week 1 or 2, I think.
Right. So I'm gonna go right at 30. I'm gonna say 30-21 Chiefs. That's where I'm going. John's rolling his 27-17 again. He likes that prediction. So I'm guessing that means Chiefs. We got John C on record. Yeah, I'll take a 14-point win, John. That make me feel sleep a lot easier.
I'll take a 10-point win. 10-point win.
Yeah, a 10-point win for sure. I mean, I'd take a 1-point win if you were going to guarantee it. But 14, I'd feel comfortable. Big Doug's going big on his prediction.
Ooh. Get that man a cheeseburger.
That too. Yeah, I'm with you there for sure. So appreciate everybody tuning in this week.
Yes, thank you, everybody.
Obviously, next Wednesday at 7. Thanks again so much, everybody that watches and follows us on Twitter and comments on the show. Everybody likes the videos. It just means a lot to us. I always say when we first started doing this, I never expected anybody to ever watch the show. Not, just because we're doing it for fun, but we're growing and we're getting viewers and we're making friends. Appreciate everybody. Like I said, jumped in there. Make sure you click like and make sure you click subscribe. That's doing us a big solid. Really appreciate that. Bo?
No, yeah, everything you said. Hit that subscribe button. That's going to be the key to winning our Travis Kelce prize pack giveaway. We got a bunch of Travis Kelce swag that we're going to be giving away once he breaks the game with 100 yards or more, or all-time game with 100 yards or more. He's tied with Gronk right now, so as soon as he gets 100 yards in a game, that's going to kickstart our giveaway there. So make sure you're subscribed because we're giving it away to our YouTube subscribers exclusively.
Yep. This is a YouTube contest. The last one we did was a Twitter contest. So make sure you're entered. You can't win if you don't play. But Chiefs on the road at the Chargers, prime time, Sunday night football.
Appreciate you, Shippy.
Flex. Definitely appreciate our guy Shippy. He's always got strong takes. I love seeing that guy in here. But everybody, prime time, Sunday night. Can't win the division, but they can almost pretty much put this thing in the bag. So until next week, when we all come back next Wednesday, 7 o'clock, let's go Chiefs.
Let's go Chiefs.